hours to Columbus. Grace and peace. Thank you for being here for this workshop. Our time together is called Renewal, that can carry the future, and we're going to talk about building intergenerational faithfulness from Isaiah 43. Now, I want to say up front that this workshop is connected to the keynotes, but this is not keynote number 3, so everybody can relax. I've done all the talking that I'm going to do. We're going to talk together. So, thank you. I am going to be so hydrated. So this is not where I trick you into another sermon. This is the lab. The keynotes, we get to proclaim the word, but the workshop is where we really get to practice the word. So we're going to see if we can go from asking, what is God saying to us, to what do we do with what God is saying. And I want this to be practical and honest and interactive. So if you came in hoping to just sit quietly and smile politely, I love you, but I'm going to ask you to talk to somebody. So I'm going to do my best not to turn this into group therapy, but I do want us to practice listening together. So my hope would be that we understand that renewal is not something that one person carries alone. We carry it together in community. And so this conversation is meant to be intergenerational. So if youth are present, wonderful, and if not, we will still talk about that. And if you're sitting here thinking, I don't know why I came to this workshop, I just needed something to do, we might need you most of all, because you might say the thing that no one else is thinking. So here's the big idea for our time together. It is that renewal is not something that one generation can carry alone. God forms communities that can remember rightly, release faithfully, perceive clearly, and build courageously for the sake of present and future generations. So we do have a handout, and yesterday some asked for extras, so if you want to, because you're going to work on one in the workshop and you want to take one back to your congregation or community, you're welcome to do so. But we're going to work from 4 phrases in Isaiah 43. Former things, new thing, wilderness, and rivers. And by the end, the hope is that each group that we have will be able to name at least one faithful step. Not 27, not a 10-year strategic plan, not revitalize the whole denomination by Monday, just one faithful step. Because sometimes renewal, it really begins with one honest conversation, one courageous release or new practice, listening, invitation. So let's begin with scripture. Isaiah 43, we've read it several times, so I won't read the entire practice, but I do notice 4 movements in this text that I think can help us discern renewal together. And so the first we see is former things. Again, God tells us, do not remember the former things or consider the things of old. Now, as we talked about in the presentation earlier, God's not telling people to erase memory, right? God is not anti-memory because Scripture constantly tells us to remember. So when we talk about former things, we're not asking what should we disrespect. We're asking what needs to be remembered rightly. What stories need to be honored. What traditions are important. What patterns once served us that may not be serving formation anymore. What are we preserving because it is faithful? And what are we preserving because we're actually afraid? So that is the former things question. The second thing that we're going to discuss today is the new thing. Scripture tells us that God's about to do a new thing. It springs forth. Do not perceive it. But the new thing may already be emerging. It could be a young person asking certain questions, a congregation becoming more serious about discipleship, a desire to partner with neighbors, a renewed hunger for prayer. The possibilities are endless. And so the new thing requires perception. And the question is not only what do we want to do, it is what might God already be doing. The third box we're going to look at is the wilderness. God says, I will make a way in the wilderness. God doesn't pretend that the wilderness is not a wilderness. I love that. It's not calling the dry place a garden. God names it honestly. And so when we see wilderness, we realize that this is a place of uncertainty, the place we don't have much control, where old maps don't seem to work. the place where we can't rely on something because we've always done it. And many congregations know some form of wilderness. Maybe that's declining participation, youth disconnection, leadership fatigue, conflict or lack of clarity. And one thing we all know, the wilderness is real. And so Isaiah 43 gives us hope because God says, I will make a way in the wilderness. And then last but certainly not least, we see rivers. Rivers. Again, I love that God does not only give direction but water. We talked about that earlier this morning. God's giving provision. And we talked about how some of us are really leading rivers while living dry, trying to serve and lead and teach and pastor, volunteer and organize and everything else we do, and care for others from a dry place. But God gives water. And so when we talk about rivers, we are asking certain questions. Where is there already provision? Where is there already hope and energy? Where is there wisdom? Where is there life? Where is God already giving drink to the people? So sometimes the river is not huge yet, it's a stream. Sometimes it's a person or a new conversation or a neighbor. And so today we're going to work through these four categories: former things, new things, wilderness, and rivers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 4 minutes to look over this worksheet. Let's just stick with the first section right now. And I want you to reflect on some of your own ideas of what former things, new things, wilderness, and rivers are. The reason being is because sometimes when we go straight into group discussion, the fastest talker sets the agenda. And we love the fastest talker. Some of us are the fastest talker. I may be the fastest talker, depending on who you ask. But I also believe that discernment needs more than speed. So take about 4 minutes, and I want you to write down your own thoughts. If it's not enough on the paper, you can use the bat or your phone or whatever you need to. And I just want to say that you don't need perfect sentences. You can use words, phrases, names, or pearl points. But think about your own congregation, your ministry, your family, your leadership context, or conference experience. So here are the 4 prompts again, and they're on your handouts. And if you need one and don't have one, we will pass those out. But the former things, what is something from the past that needs to be remembered rightly, not
Overwhelmed almost. So much, moving the offerings from this kind of thing. Maybe as small as like where
we have
people are, where are singing right prayer is. It's just once here we notice that small things. So actually, where can we worship more Jesus? We like the things that are how can we participate something you're grateful for?
Kevin's our pastor, it's very useful. This is my favorite. We need people, but yes, they're difficult. For 40 years. Traditional, we've lost a lot of older people because they lose their time. But working with the program, the scheduling and the calendar, that's one thing that we've also been challenging. Like I said, the timing, some people want to leave, right? Okay, we're here for this time. Trying to fill in the gaps and trying to do all the ready. Can't miss everything, but they're trying to make sure everybody's, that is sort of our girls and and the future. She's got new things working. You haven't noticed. Well, that's a nice way.
We wanted to establish a small groups that were
order of service. Do you see
I think that it was something that I could go to, but it's so easy, right? So like, finding a service really easy. Just plug names in for who's going where, and like, so like it is a tool to have a plan and to have a layout, so you don't have to come up with everything by yourself. But it also is kind of a way to point it back at my settings. If we want anything, or if I want to do something different, if I want to have, like one of the things I was thinking about was having a time when we respond. Turn to your neighbor for 5 minutes, here's a question, or like, we're going to pack the mic around, what are your responses? So it's like, I've been in the past, I think part of it is like, what people do, what people do. Is that something that people do? I don't want to talk to, like, I don't want to reflect on this. When we go home and have last night's lunch, so
Do these things sometimes.
so I think it kind of holds us back from truly understanding. Everybody have their lives especially now, I'm just saying how much work there is into writing a survey. A lot of people. One is one thing and not the other.
No, I know. Sermon on Sunday morning.
And so sometimes I like that, and sometimes it's like a good thing. And then they it's a way historically.
That's a personal thing that I'm also not very fond of innovating. Like, I don't really like but I'm working to open myself. It's time to say that he did touch a few more details than I think where I heard this idea, like, church is not for us. Like, church is for God. The way that you say God is different. I don't think God cares what song they're singing, like, as long as it's glorified. Yeah, we should.
The sense of belonging is
people that I know. I think it's
we've had connections with
Really big, we're looking at church.
At one point,
And I think there's, especially in college, colleges, there's supposed to be all these dark professors and survival, spells like that. And the best thing was like,
that has shown fruit. And not and is the point
But it can be a way.
to suggest like
We're not the conversation. So me
About 7 minutes left, so please make sure you're moving through the floor.
So I think that's even at the same time,
It's a way to
it's a root, but it can just hard to have other people come in that haven't had the same experiences.
How about the
But it is invigorating.
recently in the last
Church is we're still there. I would love Sunday nights again, because I felt like that's what we like kind of stayed tight with it, not from Sunday to Sunday. So we still want to another service. When they come, we will come. Be the same people when they come here. So we just recently started a game that's positive.
2 more minutes.
I mean, just saying, we're not gonna work on this.
That's what I cling to, you know?
I've been trying to think else when I'm listening, and I'm trying to think about what's different about it. And I think it goes back to when I was,
broaden it out, that is
he was probably the key person who was really the old legalism, rules, he opened the door. Now we are several years later. There is a spirit of acceptance.
I don't know much about
We carried that on, but he sort of committed that. He opened the door. The other area, and when I chose so most of them Oak Grove is a bright spot. I think one
That would not be it.
or something like that. We don't shun them like they were. We drove people away. We drove a whole generation of people away because of the and I think that's the secret of what has happened. Second is our maintaining involving youth. We have an major what you say on Fair Life? And that's a sign, that's a healthy thing. And so I think even though we're out in the country, we're way out in the country. Yeah. And so that's, I think, part of what is. Put that in this category.
The reality of that is that your life, right?
Under that one about 6 years, and it was set up to build because it was a lot.
And it may not always be the way it's
The churches are operating, I used to get the church built and started in the 60s, and they started buildings, even now, thank you so much. Mennonite or Spanish, that's what we do. So, you know, they do get that, but. I live in Archibald, Ohio, and it was just like that. So, yeah, I can see where that can go.
Let's start wrapping up the conversation.
Maybe my grandparents,
My great friend.
that's the first. Thank you, oh, yeah.
All right, friends, let's come back together. Get those last sentences out.
I don't know how you instigate that. But anyway, I think that's
Everybody take a deep breath. Some of y'all just solved the whole church in 19 minutes. Some just created 3 new committees, canceled 2 of them. But seriously, I hope you noticed something. Even in short conversation, there's always wisdom in the room. Breakouts are really my favorite part of any workshop. That's part of the point that renewal requires listening. Not just listening upward toward God, though that should always be a factor, but listening across the body. Listening across age and across experience and across role. And across the things we already thought we knew. So typically, when I structured this workout, I didn't realize that I have 45 minutes, but this probably would have taken 90 minutes. So if you want to go back and do this on your own, there's this future generation lens. I think this would be great for intergenerational conversation. And so you can have it whether youth or young adults are present. There are some questions to ask. And if they are not present, there are things to ask as well. And so because our workshop technically ends at 11:45, and I will never be accused of making people late for lunch. I don't know. Let's skip down to the one faithful next step. So that's one of the things I want us to do. We want to move toward action, not a giant action plan, but one faithful next step. So in your groups, I think it's important to complete this sentence. For renewal to carry the future, one faithful next step we can take is what? And so the goal is to be specific and realistic, connected to formation or witness, something that can actually begin in the next 30 to 60 days. And so sometimes we have really big vision that can happen years from now, but what is something that helps you take that next step? For an example, it could be invite youth and adults into a listening conversation about what helps them follow Jesus. Identify one ministry need that needs to be remembered. Change one item in the order of service. Do something differently that maybe you don't do on Sunday. I know that might be a lot of work for some people. Create a mentoring rhythm between elders and emerging leaders. Whatever it is that fits your context, I want you to take these last couple of minutes. Let's do, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes so we can come back and just hear from the room in a talk back session to just say, what is one step that we can take from the things that we talked about earlier? So one more time, discuss with your groups, or if you feel that you need to talk to somebody you haven't talked to, you're welcome to do that as well. But I want you to take away one sentence, one faithful step that we can take in the next 30 to 60 days. All right? Okay.
You gonna do it?
Well, for my situation, I would say understanding or accepting change on Sunday morning. So I guess applicable example for renewal. I'll try different worship styles. We've done this a little bit, like the worship, but like, you know, maybe on Sunday, one Sunday is a hymn sing. One Sunday having an open mind to new ideas, because I think that's what it is. See me trying to do for myself, pushes it away. It's like, you know, we have, it's like, oh, well, that's not how we do it. So it's like, oh, well, what do you need me for? So,
One thing, working towards that, we did start together when just praising Him. And it could be in Sunday, all about answer prayers, so people were able to share, something that they don't know. So reaching out out to one another. Go in, yes, we say hello, we say goodbye, we say we're done, and then some emerging leaders, high leaders, young girl, looking at something that
I think that's part of the pastoral and I engage the church this Sunday. This Sunday, something really dramatic This Sunday, really joyful, right? Because someone just got back from different situations.
also waiting because I said for the prayers, like some people that never even shared any prayer opened up and said, I really didn't pray. I'm joyful when they're like excited something is happening. Some people don't kind of stay back and don't say anything, but when that door's open,
Once a month, we call it God sighting. And it's amazing that people don't share it and never heard. It's something what either had happened to them or witnessed to them.
Two minutes.
So it's not like you face with change, but it's like, last year we enjoyed
we didn't have the ushers. We didn't have the ushers. So sure. Now it's at the end. Right. There's a song that you hear, and it's not always the same song. It's a song that else something. It is because my grandson is 3 years old now. It's 9 years old. And it's something that passes around.
people have those lines to do that.
Because the actions are right there. It's a big action.
Speaker notes. He encouraged us to like. He's been a nice speaker.
One more minute.
So much fun. And I was surprised he gave me the teacher. Yeah. It's like, okay, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
session is technically over, so if you need to leave, you're welcome to do so. But I'd love to hear just from a couple of people. We don't have 3 hours, some are hungry, tired, or both. But let's hear from maybe 3 groups out of the 6. If all 6 want to share, you're welcome to. But I'd love to hear, what is your one faithful step that you're going to take in the next 30 to 60 days, if you'd like to share with the whole group?
Our group kind of talked about changing one aspect of the service. So whether it's like, instead of ushers passing out the offering, you go up to the front and take the offering. Or whether it's after sermon, we're going to have a time where we talk to our neighbor about things like questions that we have. Or, you know, we're going to do the children's time, but everybody's going to, like, something like that. And so just committing to accepting change in one part of our service because we're stuck in our ways of structure. So.
Way to bring in renewal. Thank you for sharing. Who else would like to share something?
We talked about, a couple of us talked about being very intentional about having conversations with either new people that are visiting or coming, or not visiting, but are coming, and also perhaps intentional with having conversations with children.
Yeah, so important. Thank you. Any others before we wrap up today? Not all at once.
Talk about having these conversations with our elders groups or other groups in the church. This might be something to do with NYF, our youth group. Have these conversations using this model. That's good.
Something someone in our group had talked about was, like last night in the sharing, or yesterday afternoon in the sharing session, is how do we pinpoint gifts that we see in young people and develop those?
We did intergenerational discussions, so, you know, with youth and old, because we have a lot of old people and few youth, and increasing our hospitality. And we have an 8:30 Sunday school class that's online, so that people from Florida can hear us, and our speakers, and we brought in Kevin King from MDS. We thought he was really a powerful, so we thought maybe we should help the youth get into this. We wanted to do that. We also want to do something with the youth on peace movement and what their stance is going to war or against war. Yeah. So informing them, you know, and using the tools of technology. We thought if we bought a pizza party for them, then they'd maybe come and listen to it.
That's a good motivator for me.
That works for adults.
These are all very meaningful takeaways, and we'll leave these here, so if you want to take some of them with you and have a session together where you use this as a guide, you are welcome to do so. But as we close, I just want to remind us that renewal doesn't begin when we have everything figured out, because we probably won't. But it begins when we become available to God and to one another. To, again, remember rightly, release faithfully, perceive clearly, to be watered in dry places, and to be formed to witness. So, thank you for coming to this today. I hope that your conversations were helpful. I always believe that we grow better together in community with one another, and I believe in shared wisdom and discernment. And so I pray that this was not just a conference theme, but that we take this idea of renewal with us as we lead together. So I hope you all have a wonderful lunch, and that God will bless you on your respective journeys as you go back home. And I appreciate you taking the time to come to this workshop and to listen to the sessions this morning. So grateful for each and every one of you, praying for all of you as you take that next step forward. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.